Welcome back to another edition of the City That Never Sleeps show. I'm your host, Brandon Pockers, joined as always by my co-host, Ryan Toomey. Ryan, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
Doing good, but a little concerned, Brandon.
Why is that?
It's the New Jersey Devils, but we'll get into that when time comes.
Yeah, might be some reason to worry about that team. We got a full slate of news for you guys on today's show. Aaron Rodgers Watch 2023 continues. Crazy to say that for a guy that isn't even unofficial on the team yet, but it's close enough to the point where we could assume that's going to happen. Also, we got opening day this week. Opening day is Thursday. Going to go over the prospects that made the Yankees, the prospects that didn't make the Mets. And we're going to give you our season predictions for the entire season. Also, we're going to touch on, as Toomey mentioned, some hockey stuff regarding the Devils and Rangers. Give you guys a bit of a preview for the game we're going to Thursday night. And then we're going to wrap the show up with some NBA talk, the namesake of the team that I'm wearing, the New York Knicks. Talk about the Brooklyn Nets and where they stand regarding their playoff chances. So, without further ado, let's get into the news. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Aaron Rodgers Watch 2023 continues. Toomey, in your occasional usage of social media, what have you seen regarding the Aaron Rodgers dilemma, I would call it?
The main point is it's just not going to happen for the foreseeable future. It seems like both teams are in zero rush right now. I know they had the whole coaches GM meeting going on, and they got to talk to Douglas, and Douglas just seemed like no care in the world of the topic. Seems like both teams are in their own little world right now and trying to get the best case scenario for their franchise. So I know we're both just waiting for this decision to happen, but how much longer? How much longer do the fans have to wait for the Jets?
Yeah, it's a fair question to ask. It's a very fair question to ask. And, you know, the latest news in the saga is that the Packers and Jets are discussing 2 high draft picks in the Aaron Rodgers trade, but they're stuck on 2024 protection. So this comes from Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports. The trade would currently swap Rodgers for 2 high draft picks. His source characterized a deal as getting closer despite stiff negotiation over how the picks would stack up. And he mentions how the main hang-up currently is Jets draft pick protections for 2024 in case that Rodgers doesn't play. So currently, the types of picks that are being discussed as the quote-unquote high draft picks, it is one second-round pick in the 2023 NFL draft, which is in basically a month or less than a month away, and another second rounder in 2024 that could convey to a first round pick with certain, I guess you could say, benchmarks being reached. So hearing that, what's your opinion on it?
Give him you got to give something. Obviously, the guy's worth a lot. Again, I said it last week, Rodgers seems to be the one in the driver's seat, and the Jets as well, because he wants out. He wants to leave. I'm surprised that they're getting as much as they are for him, but it's worth it. They might as well get it done sooner or later so you can focus on more of the team of what's going to happen, I think. Because as you keep creeping closer to draft day, I feel like it's just going to get limited on what you can give, what you can get. And I think it's just going to cause more issues waiting.
So here's where I fall with this, right? There's 2 sides to every story, and as we've gone over in countless shows, countless times, there's 2 sides, the Packers and the Jets. The Packers, in this situation, I feel like are at a more disadvantaged point than the Jets. Now, you could ask, why is this the case? The Jets are the team that's desperate for the quarterback. The Jets are the team that needs Rodgers to fully build out their roster. And yes, I would agree with that. But the Packers, if they don't move Rodgers, are going to have to pay basically $60 million on their cap. They don't move Rodgers, creates a bunch of drama that creates a ton of issues in the quarterback room in Green Bay. Maybe Jordan Love doesn't even want to be there at that point. And on top of that, the further this drags on, the less and less the Jets may be willing to give up. To me, you mentioned that a little bit, but from the Jets' perspective, they can wait it out. They can not jump at the first offer that Green Bay wants. We've seen the offers become less and less through, obviously different stories get leaked for different reasons. But at first it's, Rodgers not getting traded for anything less than 2 first-round picks. Now it's Rodgers is going to get traded for anything but a first-round pick. Now we're at 2 second-round picks. It keeps coming down and down and down and down. What have we said from the very beginning? Joe Douglas is not someone that moves off his price. He is a stickler. He is not paid for free agents because of this. And he always, well, not always, as we'll get into later in the show, but for the most part, he ensures that he gets good return on investment and he doesn't give up too much in trades. This Rodgers trade was never going to be a trade where you're giving up a legitimate 1 plus more. The more realistic option is the one that's being discussed. The fact that the Packers are getting a second plus another second that could convey into a first if certain benchmarks are hit. Of course, the Jets would be more willing to give up a first if they know Rodgers is going to be there for more than 1 year, which is one of the main sticking points that we talked about. Of course, they're more willing to give up a first if Rodgers leads them deep in the playoffs or even to a Super Bowl, which is crazy to even think about at this point. But the Jets can't just cave to that first offer, essentially. And at the end of the day, the Jets are smart for trying to get protection on the draft capital they're sending. We don't know what Rodgers' plan is after this season. We don't know if he's going to play 1, 2, or even 3 more years. So the Jets need to have protection so that they're not giving up an insane amount of capital for a guy that's only playing 1 year. It makes sense where the hang-up is. And honestly, I don't even want to use the L word because I've seen it so much that if I hear the L word again, I'm going to lose my mind. But the Jets have more of it at this point. I truly think that. Toomey, where do you fall with that?
No, I agree with you on that. I just seen it from a franchise standpoint and with the rest of the team. I'm thinking Green Bay, why did they I would just move on as fast as possible just to get that baggage out of the system. I know they've had a long career there, 17, 18 seasons, won a Super Bowl, had some great seasons, 2 MVPs. A lot of drama came with that as well, but I feel like they should just move on, start fresh, get Jordan Love into the system, make it his team, and then go from there. I don't know why they're so persistent on keeping him right now or trying to get as much as they possibly can when they've made offers to get him. But yeah, no, the Jets are in the driver's seat. It seems like it from the reactions of Douglas, Saleh, the rest of the franchise, front office as well. So I don't know. It's just confusing me why Green Bay would want to keep on to him as long as they possibly can with all the baggage that has come from this.
Maybe it's spite. Maybe it's they're really just being sticklers about the value. Maybe it's they just want just straight picks, whereas the Jets want protection on those picks, and that's kind of the hang up. And at the end of the day, like we said, you don't know whether or not he's playing more than 1 year in New York. You truly don't. So that's gonna immensely impact the return that you're getting. It's gonna immensely impact what you're willing to give up, because Rodgers only plays 1 year. Guess what? You're looking for a quarterback in next year's draft, a very good draft class. you don't want to be, if you're in the Jets situation, a team that doesn't have enough assets to go find your guy of the future, especially with a roster they probably consider to be win now. So I get it. I truly do. I do think Green Bay blinks first. And as we talked about, the Jets seem content on waiting it out. They seem very content on not biting at that first, bait that's thrown out. They seem very content on not just attacking and immediately getting the offer done, because they know what value they feel comfortable giving up. And I think both sides are digging their heels in the sand. Unfortunately, it's not help benefiting either side, but I feel like the Jets have a little bit more room to work with, especially considering some other news that has happened. So before we move on from Rodgers Watch, do you have any final thoughts on when you think the trade could be done, when you think Rodgers is officially a Jet?
Looking at the date right now, we got March 28th. Drafts, 25th?
Yes.
25th.
Or I think it's, let me pull up the calendar just to.
But somewhere, wherever. We know it's the end of April. It's got to be done before then, I would believe. I feel like it'd be wrong for both teams to go into the draft without this decision made. Mid-April seems safe. Hopefully, it could be a little sooner than that, but would be content with mid-April.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think that, and looking at the calendar, the draft is the 27th. So you essentially have a month. You have a month to hammer out this deal. If it gets beyond that, I have no idea. I have no idea how any of this turns out if it gets beyond the April 27th part, because how are you conveying draft capital? It's now 2024 and 2025 instead of this year and next year. The Packers are harming themselves, which I think that's the more important part. The Jets have all their picks. Green Bay isn't getting any additional compensation to improve their roster if they wait this out. So looking at the calendar, I think I'm in the same boat. I don't think it's any later than mid-April. I would say it's done by probably April 9th, April 10th. But truly, I think it has to get done.
It does.
More so for Green Bay than the Jets, but still, it has to get done. Because there aren't that many options left at quarterback, but one of the main options has been Lamar Jackson. We've spoke about, if the Rodgers thing doesn't work out, you could always look at Lamar. You could always look at Lamar. Well, as David in the chat, which happy that he is in the chat, he says Lamar Jackson to the Jets. And Douglas came out yesterday and said, we're not going to pursue Lamar Jackson because we don't want to negotiate in bad faith. We don't want to create issues. And it's the right statement in that situation. Douglas and the Jets themselves have made it very well known that they're pursuing Aaron Rodgers. To immediately pivot without Rodgers knowing and without the Packers knowing, if you miss on Lamar, you can't go back to Rodgers. So I agree with what Douglas is saying, but I think hearing what he's actually said, he didn't completely rule out Lamar. It was just more so about the fact that they're pursuing Rodgers right now. And I think that's where the Jets are, in the sense of, they are a team that would have other options if, let's say, this Rodgers deal falls through. Obviously, we're going to focus on the Lamar situation, but you could look at maybe a Kirk Cousins, a Matt Stafford, another veteran that could just slide in and maybe give you a spot year. That's your worst case scenario. Lamar obviously would cost way more draft compensation than Rodgers. considering the age, considering the fact he's a former MVP as well. And he would cost a lot more on your cap because of the type of contract he would come in. But at the end of the day, and I want to hear your opinion on this too, I think that if for some reason the Rodgers thing fell through, I would 100% pursue Lamar Jackson. And I would make that my number one priority.
Currently, right now, with Lamar Jackson debacle, I don't understand why so many teams are not going after him. When you think about, we've done this a bunch, we've talked about it again and again. As much of the hate Lamar Jackson can get, and as much as he hasn't been able to stay on the field the past 2 seasons, he's still Lamar Jackson, and he's a quarterback who's proved he can have success in the regular season when he plays. People have given a lot more for quarterbacks who have not shown similar success at all during the regular season or have zero postseason success at all. When you think about it, I would take Lamar over Kirk Cousins. Easy. Kirk Cousins, what postseason success does Kirk Cousins have? People might like to ride on Kirk Cousins, but still, I don't know why teams like Atlanta, teams who have no quarterback status at all going for them right now, are not going after him. It's a shock right now that there's no news of anyone. If it gets to the point where the Packers are being sticklers still and the Jets maybe just go, okay, we'll just go after Lamar now. And that will be a done deal. They don't have to work with the Ravens as much. That's a piece of cake. They can get that done. And it'd be worth it. 26 years old, MVP. Keep him healthy. He'll have a ton of success in New York. But I'm just shocked that there's been no news about anyone going after him at all.
I think it's a lot of different factors. The Ravens, comparatively, when you're looking at them and Lamar doesn't have an agent. This has been, I know it's been harped upon by people, and I don't think it's as serious, but when it comes to leaking information, it's Lamar himself versus an organization that can leak different stories to the press, that can control the narrative through the different insiders and the different reporters. When you're against that, you either have to take a more direct approach or basically understand it's a losing battle. Lamar took the direct approach. He went on Twitter yesterday and basically said, I requested a trade from the Ravens on March 2nd. I feel like he basically explained how he felt like his worth wasn't being met, that he loves all Ravens fans, but he did request a trade. I agree with you in the sense of I don't understand why more teams haven't gone after him. I have a feeling that we talked about the little bits of collusion where, oh, he wants the fully guaranteed contract, the fully guaranteed contract, the fully guaranteed contract. But reports are coming out now that he doesn't necessarily want a fully guaranteed contract. And that the only team he wants the fully guaranteed contract for is from the Ravens. Personally, looking at this, as the more days go on, it feels like those two sides are heading for a breakup. At the end of the day, I truly think that, Lamar needs to go to a team that values him and that truly builds around him. And you might say, Brandon, why would that even be the case? Didn't Baltimore build around Lamar? Didn't they build an entire offensive system? Yes and no. They built it around his strengths as a player, but look at the Ravens receivers. Look at the Ravens main targets. It's Mark Andrews. It's tight ends. It was Greg Roman's offense. Lamar hasn't had a number one receiver in his entire career. Lamar hasn't, truly had that alpha number one that can take some of the pressure off where he doesn't have to do everything on his own. That's the difference. That's the main difference for why I mean, that and the contract are probably the two main reasons why he's not satisfied with Baltimore. And the Ravens have never committed to doing that for him. Yeah, they drafted Rashad Bateman, but what did they do outside of that? Every other AFC team either drafted a receiver very high in the first round or traded for a superstar. Every team with a superstar quarterback. Look at Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs. Look at Joe Burrow. They got him a plethora of weapons. Mahomes, which is a little bit different, but he had Tyreek. Lamar,
even.
Jalen, exactly. A.J. Brown for Jalen Hurts. Lamar never had that. So, to bring it back full circle, I would love Lamar to be on the Jets. I think he would thrive in New York. I think him and Garrett Wilson would kill it. Unless the unexpected happens where the entire Aaron Rodgers trade falls through, I don't see him on the Jets. And to be honest with you, right now, I don't know where he would go. Maybe Indianapolis because they're desperate for a quarterback. Maybe, that he would go to Atlanta, but I doubt Atlanta. Like, all these teams immediately coming out and saying, we don't want Lamar. We're not pursuing Lamar. It's very interesting. And this is, as I said on our last show, this is the storyline I'm following. I am very intrigued to see how this plays out because this will have the most ramifications on the entire NFL. We got some comments in the chat. We got Don saying, what's up, fellas? And also saying, if I'm Washington, I'm definitely calling. Exactly. Tennessee, Washington, hell, maybe even Minnesota, Atlanta, Carolina, even though they traded up for the first pick. So probably not them. Tampa Bay. Why aren't these teams calling about Lamar Jackson? I don't have the answer for that. I couldn't tell you why. But if all things were equal and the Jets didn't pursue Rodgers or didn't pursue any quarterbacks in the first place, I'd be banging the table for them to go after Lamar first. Because I think he's a more viable option for both the present and the future. But that's not the case right now. They're going after Rodgers, and we're going to see how this plays out. So where do you sit with that?
No, I'm still 99% the Jets are getting Aaron Rodgers. That's a high number. I don't see a chance of they already made ways for him getting guys that he wanted from that list. I think it's a day away. But as the days keep getting more and more, I think that percentage of him going to the Jets keeps creeping down. So I'm still very high on them getting him. It's just a matter of time. Lamar Jackson would be cool. I don't think they get Lamar Jackson. I feel like someone else would go after him. But no, I'm still as close as you can get to 100% on getting Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, you hired one of his best friends as your coordinator in Nathaniel Hackett. You signed Alan Lazard. You're targeting OBJ. There's your answer right there. And I guess that's a perfect transition into what we're going to talk about next. What do you call it? OBJ. And yes. that is our question of the day. The Jets will sign OBJ. And why is this a question? Why is this a question now? Because last week, it was more of a maybe. A lot's happened in the past week in regard to with the Jets wide receiver. So the Jets first signed Mecole Hardman to a 1-year contract. As I pull up the contract terms right now, Toomey, what did you think of the Hardman signing, and what do you think he's going to bring to the Jets?
We spoke about this too. It was kind of a shock of how they got him. I like it. Very fast. A lot of speed on Hardman. He can do a lot. He'll be a great wide receiver 3 for the team. I truly believe that. But having Elijah Moore as a piece of that was weird to us. We said that. We were talking about that, and we thought he was going to have a big impact on this new Jets offense, but you know what? I think last year I had to play a factor in it in getting rid of him. But it is truly interesting. Hardman's going to be great. Elijah Moore is going to be great in Cleveland for sure. I think it was his time to go in New York. But truly, Hardman's going to bring a lot to the offense. I mean, he even tweeted himself, right? A lot of, what were they saying? A lot of end arounds or something?
He said a lot more than end arounds.
Yeah, yes. So he's going to bring a lot of excitement as a third wide receiver. And then that also jumps into the OBJ when we get into that. But again, you talk, please, about Hardman, what you see from him.
Toomey decided to jump the shark a little bit in the sense of bringing up Elijah Moore, as I was going to get to that in a little bit. But no, it all ties together. So the timeline of events with this, it went something like this, Jets, I see the notification the Jets signed Mecole Hardman. First thought in my head, Berrios replacement. Fast wide receiver, great with end arounds, as Adam Schefter so famously tweeted. But he's also a great returner. And he brings a very electric dynamic in that regard because of his speed once again. And looking at the Jets receiver room at that point of the day, you had Garrett Wilson, you had Elijah Moore, you had Allen Lazard, and you had Mecole Hardman. I'm not going to lie to you. That was a set of 4 wide receivers that I was very excited about. Very, 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 very excited about. It was just a nice complement of different skill sets, a lot of speed, and just seemed like a plethora of weapons for Aaron Rodgers to use. And then an hour later, we get the alert. The news breaks. Elijah Moore traded to the Cleveland Browns. In that trade, the Jets got a second-round pick. I'm pretty sure it was pick number 43 or pick number 42. The Jets have both those picks anyway in the second round. They got that pick in exchange for Elijah Moore and their third-round pick this year. Now, Toomey alluded to this, but it kind of seemed like these two sides were headed for a breakup. We obviously know about the blow-up that Elijah Moore had last year when he requested the trade, when he felt like he wasn't being used enough, when he was ripping Zach Wilson as a quarterback. Honestly, he was probably right about that, but still, I guess the best way to put it is I was very surprised. I wasn't thrilled with the return because you had to send a third-round pick with Moore to get a second-round pick back. Like, I get what the thought process is, but solely grading out the trade itself, it seemed like the Jets were just ready to cut bait on this guy. And it sucks because Elijah Moore showed how talented he was. He showed what he can do in the Jets offense. He never really had a quarterback. His best quarterback in his time in New York was probably Joe Flacco or Mike White in terms of actually getting him the ball. And he never had a chance to really be that number one because while he started to show signs of that, Garrett Wilson took over immediately. I don't think Joe Douglas, I don't think Robert Saleh, I don't think they ever forgave him for requesting the trade, blowing up at a point in time where the Jets were 5-2, 6-2, where they were in prime position to compete for a playoff spot. They were in prime position to end their playoff drought. They were in the midst of their best stretch in years. I don't think the Jets organization ever forgave him for that. Now, why did the Jets get another 2? This goes back to what we talked about with the Aaron Rodgers trade. The Jets want to ensure that they have at least 1 pick in the second round. Lots of rumors about how they're very high on this center class, whether it's John Michael Schmitz, Joe Tippmann, a few other guys at that range. Jets want to make sure they have a pick in that round. Excuse me.
Bless you.
But, yeah, essentially the Jets, I think, wanted to make sure they have a pick in that round. They wanted to make sure that they're able to get a guy with a first-round pick and a guy with a second-round pick in a draft class that is deep at specific positions. It's good to have those picks be available to use. Elijah Moore now, for him, I think if Deshaun Watson or essentially the quarterback who shall not be named. If he's able to perform at his level, I think it's the best quarterback Elijah Moore's played with or is going to play with. I think he has a huge opportunity to have a monster year next to Amari Cooper. If I'm a fantasy player, I am targeting him because I think he could be an underrated sleeper type guy, a nice bounce back after a down year too. But for the Jets, this is where the OBJ conversation starts. Your trio is now Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman. I love Hardman's skill set. I love his speed. I love his potential for the gadget plays. I don't like him as your number 3 wide receiver. I don't. And I could be wrong. You could have a different opinion than me. But I don't think that Hardman functions best as a top 3 guy. I think he functions best as, like I said, your Braxton Berrios replacement, your guy that you sporadically put in the game, that you give the jet sweeps to, that you give occasional looks to. But you don't want to target him 7-8 times a game. And I think this is where Odell Beckham comes into play. We got Jay in the chat saying OBJ might be signed by the New Jersey Jets. Well, always love that joke. The New Jersey Jets, even though it's not a joke, they do play in East Rutherford. I think OBJ would be a great addition, even if it's for 1-2 years. I think that he brings enough to the table where he can serve as your number 2 next to Garrett Wilson. He doesn't have to carry the whole offense. I still think he has enough in the tank. Would I be thrilled with it? Not exactly. Would I be happy with it? Yeah. Isn't it an upgrade over Elijah Moore? No. So shooting it back to you, Toom, what do you think of the potential OBJ signing for the Jets? How do you think he stacks up within the offense? And what do you think it would mean for the Jets offense as a whole?
Obviously, this is not rookie season OBJ, second season OBJ. Still a hell of a talent. He'll bring a lot to the offense. The only concern there with him, if he's doing good, if he's performing well, I should say, I believe it could work well for the team. He could be a great locker room presence. He can teach our wide receivers a lot. He's a knowledgeable guy. He, at one point, was the best receiver in the NFL, or top 3 at least, you can say. My concern, though, if he is not performing to where he'd want to be, he could become an issue within the organization. He'll say what's on his mind. We've seen that before with him, and he's not going to stop doing that no matter where he thinks he's going to be on that offense. I'm curious because he's not going to be a wide receiver 3. I know right out the gate he's not going to like that, so he's going to be wide receiver 2, which Lazard is fine. I mean, Lazard just went from wide receiver 1 to now wide receiver 3. I don't think that's going to cause any issues with Lazard. But when it comes down to it, I think if OBJ performs well, it could work wonders for the team, do great for the system. He'll talk just like Sauce is talking, just like Garrett's talking. But if he starts to not get the ball, if he starts to get Elijah Moore treatment, I could see that being an issue.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that.
All right.
Because I think it's different if you have Aaron Rodgers there.
Yes.
I think it's different. I think it's way different because it's a guy that OBJ, he's been on record saying this. He's always wanted to play with Rodgers. He also will know for a fact he's on a contending title contender. Winning cures everything, by the way. We've seen this in all sports. But if he's in that type of environment with Rodgers, Rodgers won't put up with anything from anybody if they're not committed to winning. I'm not concerned about that with Odell Beckham because he signs with the Jets. He knows what he's getting himself into. He's played in New York. Going into that second go-around, playing with Rodgers, I don't think he'd be a distraction at all. I truly don't think he'd be a distraction at all. Now, if the season goes tailspin, you're going to have way bigger issues to deal with than OBJ causing issues in the locker room. If the Jets don't live up to expectations, you have way bigger issues to worry about than Odell Beckham. Your issues would be, oh crap, are we going to have a new head coach and GM next year? That's the type of issues where everything goes according to plan. Beckham's not a problem. I highly doubt he would be a problem because he wasn't an issue in LA.
No.
Wasn't an issue in LA when he was the number 2, arguably the number 3. Wasn't an issue during their Super Bowl run. So I don't think he would be an issue in New York.
I see that where you're coming from. I do remember with the Giants, though, there were some issues, but that had to do with they weren't winning. So, again, I'm with you on that. If the Jets are losing, they do have bigger issues, but hopefully it would be good. I still think I'm with you, though. If the team's doing well, he's performing well, the team's going to be a train that's going to be hard to stop.
Now, Don asked a great question. Would you rather have Odell or Jerry Jeudy? That's a tough one because Jeudy is more potential than production, whereas Odell is more production. Based off numbers, I probably would have Odell because he's shown he can do it. He has done it, and he's done it in the past. Whereas we've never really seen Jeudy fully take the reins. I think he would be great alongside Garrett Wilson, alongside Alan Lazard, and I would love a core of Wilson, Jeudy, Lazard, and Hardman. But once again, what are you giving up for Jeudy? Denver has consistently been adamant they want a second or a first. Are you giving that up for Jerry Jeudy? Because I'm probably not. In that case, I'm going after Courtland Sutton. I'd rather have him. And I think that brings up, Don also brings up Jeudy has had some off quarterbacks. Yes, but Russell Wilson also has been a decent quarterback. We don't know how far he truly fell off, how much of it was the offense with Hackett. We don't know. We truly don't know. But at the end of the day, the Jets need another wide receiver, whether that is trading for a Jerry Jeudy, a Courtland Sutton, maybe a long shot, but DeAndre Hopkins, whether it's signing an Odell Beckham Jr., whether it's drafting a guy like JSN from Ohio State. They need an addition. They need an addition to that room because, like I said, and Toomey, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, they cannot go into the year with Mecole Hardman as your number 3. And more importantly, you cannot go into the year with Alan Lazard as your number 2 wide receiver. Can't happen. And obviously we're talking as if, Corey Davis isn't going to be on the roster. That's still up in the air. But I still think you need one more solid addition to fully build out this wide receiver room.
I agree. You need another addition. But when it comes down to it, when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I'll always say this. You give a great quarterback, wide receivers that have shown they can have success, they'll be fine. Brady in New England, he had guys like Amendola, Hogan, Edelman. He made success stories out of these guys. I think Rodgers does the same with Lazard. But yes, I do agree they should add one more guy and maybe move Lazard to 3. That'd be a great case scenario going into the season. That'd be a phenomenal wide receiver room. And back to the question from Don, I'm actually going the other way. I'm going Jeudy, per se, if you didn't have to give up a lot to get him. But I'd go over the younger receiver, faster, has more in the tank, per se, than Odell. But yes, one more addition would be nice for the team. I was a fan of Jeudy. I loved him coming out of college. I thought he was going to have a big success in the NFL, especially last year with Wilson. But that went down no one saw that coming. But give him a quarterback like Rodgers, I think he'd have a hell of a year. But yeah, they do need to get one more guy, per saying who it was. I would not go against drafting someone like you spoke about before, and get a new young guy in there. I like rookie wide receivers too. I really do. They got a lot to prove. We saw it in Wilson last year. We've seen a lot in the past. But no, yeah, I do agree on you that Lazard, they'd be a better case scenario with Lazard at the 3 and someone else at it at 2.
100%. And before we move off the Jet stuff, we've seen some other potential rumored additions. Calais Campbell is the one that I have my eyes on. I think he would be an amazing, quote unquote, ring chaser. I think he would add a lot to that front 7. He would be very fun to watch alongside Quinn and Williams. I also have seen Ben Jones. That's been a name linked to the Jets. I would still draft the center even if I signed him. But, these are the type of guys, these are the type of additions where, as we move forward, as the Rodgers trade officially happens, we're hoping you're going to see more vets want to be on the Jets, want to chase the ring with them. I was going to potentially see a Bobby Wagner type, but he went back to Seattle. And at the end of the day, the last thing I want to touch on is this team does still have needs. We've talked about, obviously, the wide receiver need. Still think they need a safety, but I think that's going to be covered in the draft at this point. And you still need offensive line help, whether it's at tackle or at center. So, personally, I am adamant on drafting a tackle in the first round, center in the second round, and taking the rest of the draft class from there. Where do you fall with that, Toomey?
I was curious. I had a question for you because I know the whole story's been OBJ, Calais Campbell, Ben Jones. If you had to pick one to be a Jet next season, you can only have one of the 3. Which hole would you rather filled?
Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
I think Campbell is my number 1 on that list. Mainly because you need interior defensive line help badly. You lost Sheldon Rankins. You lost Nathan Shepard. That's your depth. Those are the guys that allow that solid defensive line rotation to actually work. You don't have the depth. You have random guys off the street rotating in on key downs. You're in trouble. You're going to run into a lot of issues. And that's where I fall with it. To where, okay, I would love to add Odell Beckham. I think there's 15 other additions you can make at wide receiver that could be serviceable. Maybe not at the level of OBJ, but would be serviceable. I feel like center with Ben Jones, would he be great? Yeah, but why did the Jets trade for that second-round pick? They obviously liked someone in the second round. They obviously wanted a shot to target someone in that round. So they're probably comfortable if they don't sign him. I think Calais Campbell is the best one because it's not a great interior defensive line class in the draft. And there's really not a great free agent market for those type of guys either.
Very good. I like that. Learned a lot there.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap up our Jets talk. Stay tuned going forward as we continue Aaron Rodgers Watch 2023. Stay tuned as we continue to cover all the latest Jets news and all the latest NFL news. So keep it locked and loaded to the show. We're going to be covering this every week. And now, Toom, where do you want to jump to next?
Season starts Thursday. MLB.
Ooh, MLB. That's a fun conversation. Why don't you get us started?
All right. Well, spring's right around the corner. I can feel the temperature getting warmer. It's time for baseball, baby. It really is. I'm so happy about it. The Yankees have made a decision that I've been waiting for them to finally pull the trigger on for years to come. Not Anthony Volpe, but just bring up a prospect. And they finally did it. They finally brought up their guy, Anthony Volpe. He's the starting shortstop. He's getting full-blown Derek Jeter treatment right now. He's the wonder kid. Hopefully that doesn't go straight to his head. But the kid's a real talent. And he's going to bring a lot to the team, bring a youthfulness that I haven't really seen with the New York Yankees in a long time. So I'm excited for that. And we can jump right into what season predictions. I just can't wait.
Well, I wanted to talk about Volpe for a little.
All right, yeah, no, he's there's a lot you can say about the kid. He's earned his spot, and I think with a team like the Yankees, it's hard to earn your spot.
Oh,
That's an
1,000,
organization.
1,000%. 1,000%. Here's my thing. When we did a live show outside of the Yankees spring training facility when we were down in Orlando. And when we were talking about it, it made no sense to keep Volpe off the roster. If he was your best shortstop option, he needs to be up there. He needs to be playing. Especially for a team that has trotted out IKF for multiple years. For a team that just seems, for whatever reason, and they really don't need to with the type of prospect talent they have, to just hang on for dear life with these old veterans. It makes me very happy to see Volpe getting called up. One Jersey product. We love to see it. Number two, if he produces to the level we think he's going to, makes that Yankees lineup so much more dangerous. Because now if you don't have a gaping hole at shortstop, there's protection for Aaron Judge. There's protection for Stanton. Maybe Glaber gets a few more pitches to hit now. These things start working themselves out to a point where now the Yankees have a young talent that is elevating the roster. Now the Yankees lineup is that much deeper. It's very exciting. And that's not even counting the potential of Oswald Peraza finding a spot in that lineup. Jason Dominguez maybe making his way up to the majors if he has a torrid minor league season. Those additions being made to that roster, to that lineup, just makes the Yankees all that more threatening in the AL and the AL East.
No, and you're completely right. And I think the big thing that this does is it opens the door for the other prospects to get a chance in the future. You brought up a name like Jason Dominguez. I don't see him coming up this year. I really don't, just because of how young he is, and I don't think he's going up. So he's just too young. I think he just needs a little more time to mature. But he also another guy with a great spring. And I like to bring this point back from the playoffs last year. You have a team, Yankees, Astros, in the semis, the Eastern Conference, or whatever you want to call it, the AL Finals. I don't even know right now. I'm blanking. But you have a team like the Astros with a young man like Pena at shortstop calling guys up. And they were obviously the much better team than the Yankees. And then you see the Yankees, they finally bring up a guy like Peraza, but they were outmatched. And it was just this old group of guys. It was Aaron Judge against the world. And they had nothing to show for it. So finally, this team has come to their senses and brought up a guy. I don't think Volpe has to do that well even. I think it's his spot for the future now if he somehow switches teams, but it's his position. I'm excited. I can't remember the last time the Yankees brought up a top guy like this, really, to start a season. I would actually like someone to find that out for me, because I've been watching the Yankees religiously for the past 10 seasons, and they have not made any moves at all. When it truly comes down to it, it's a new age for them. I like it. It opens the door. It's going to be an exciting season, and hopefully he can bring a spark that the team needs.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at I saw a tweet about this. The last shortstop prospect that got called up this age from Jersey was Jeter. And obviously you don't want to put the captain comparisons on the Anthony Volpe, but that's the type of player that he could be. He could be that for the Yankees, a new age version of that type of shortstop. I want to get to some of the questions real fast. This regarding our poll question. If they get A-Rod, then I agree, but I think they are in a great spot at wide receiver. I think they're in a good spot as well. Garrett, having that number one alpha type guy And Garrett Wilson helps so much. And then we have Rob saying, is OBJ on Diva Aaron's list? I think he probably is, and I would probably assume Aaron is on OBJ's list of potential options that he would want to play with. So to segue from the Yankees, I'm aggravated because I wanted the Mets to do what the Yankees did, and they didn't. So both Brett Baty and Mark Vientos got sent down, and they will not be beginning the season with the New York Mets. Now, it would be one thing if these guys weren't doing well. It'd be one thing if these guys weren't producing. But, Brett Baty, 325 average in the spring.
He had one of the best averages.
One of the best averages out of anybody. He also had a 460 on base percentage and a 425 slugging. OPS of 885. Mark Vientos, 278, 310, 481 splits. Do you want to know what his OPS was? 791. And the guy that they lost out to, he's not even listed. Eduardo Escobar, pretty sure he hit around like 120 in the spring. And I get it. You can't go based off spring training.
No.
But why not at least elevate one, not both? You should elevate both in my eyes, but just one of these guys. And allow Escobar to move into that utility role, to be that guy off your bench. It's just so frustrating because this is a Mets team that, and I'm not being biased here, I truly believe this from looking at their roster, they have a chance to win the World Series. If everything clicks, if everything in the lineup hits, they have a chance to win the World Series. But learn from the teams in your division, aka the flashing red light that is the Atlanta Braves. Michael Harris and Spencer Strider literally carried that team at stretches last year. If you have one of your top prospects hitting that well in spring, let him continue it into the regular season. Let him continue rolling. I just don't get it. And honestly, I think these guys are up after 2 weeks. But why not do it right from the jump start? Why not do it right away? I don't get that part. I truly don't understand it. And it's just, I feel like, and I get it, Eduardo Escobar killed it last month of the year, hit over 300, was one of the main reasons the Mets made the playoffs. But why not give the young guy a shot? Brett Baty or Vientos. They showed power. They showed the ability to hit for average. They've shown an ability to get on base. If you see an option to improve your team and raise the ceiling of your team, why aren't you taking it? What's your perspective on this?
The main shock for me is Baty, because he's a guy that can play a lot of positions as well. So you can easily find a spot for him. Let's say an injury happens, or let's say someone's playing poorly. You could easily sub him in there and see if he can find success at the major league level. But yeah, that's the real thing. It's not really definitely not an old Met thing to keep a top prospect down there, but the new age Mets. Come on, it's a new age system. You're on par with the Yankees now. You got these big contracts. Like both teams have contracts of guys that you might be like, okay, I'd rather see this guy come up, but you got to play that type of baseball. They'll be up. I like what you said. They might be up in a couple of weeks. That makes sense. I could really see that happening. But no matter what's going on with the prospects right now, who's up, who's down, it's going to be an exciting year for both teams. And it's going to be a dogfight, especially in that NL East over there. And the Mets are going to have to do all they can to try and get that top spot of the division.
And look, maybe it's not the end of the world. It probably isn't the end of the world. But you're not losing anything from giving them a shot right off the bat. You're not losing anything from giving those guys a shot right away. Now, are you losing anything from having them down in the minors? Probably not. And that's the truth. But there's no reason to not give them the shot. That's where I'm at.
I have a question. Did LeCastro make the roster? He did.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah, okay.
The Mets did make a right decision, though, because they designated Darren Ruff for assignment, which I'm telling you this, if Darren Ruff made the team over LeCastro, I would have come on this show guns blazing. I would have been ripping the entire organization because that was the one where you heard rumors about Darren Ruff making the roster. He had done nothing to prove it. The dude hasn't hit over 100 or didn't hit over 140 in like his entire Mets tenure. If you look at his spring stats, which if I can pull that up right here, that'd be fantastic. If you look at his stats, they're buried. Good Lord. Darren Ruff. Yeah. It might be so bad that MLB.com I don't think even has his stats on here. So that's cool. But LeCastro hit 289. He had a 511 slugging percentage. Like he produced. He had a 907 OPS. He showed that he can perform. He showed that if he can even hit a little bit, he'll add value to the Mets because of the insane speed he has. Think a better version of Terrence Gore coming off your bench that can actually swing the bat a little bit. If he didn't make the roster over Ruff, some team was going to pick him up. So I applaud the Mets for that decision. But, it's one step forward, one step back. Or one step back, one step forward. You don't elevate the prospects, but you make the right decision cutting bait on the veteran that you traded a decent amount of prospects for, and it didn't work out. It's good organizational practice, and I'm happy that the Mets aren't the old Wilpon era where they're just going to hold on to certain terrible veterans to, just because they're paying a lot of money to them. I'm very happy about that.
No, LeCastro's a guy too. The Yankees, past couple seasons that he's been there, they've kept trying to give him a chance after chance after chance, and it never truly worked out with them. I was very excited when they got him. I think it was 2 years ago, but the ACL injury didn't help. And last year, they just kept trying to get him in there, and he was not finding any true success. So it's cool to see the guy performing well, and he'll be a guy. He's not going to play every day, obviously, but maybe once a week, every once in a while, could be a good success story for them. But besides that, yeah.
Yeah, and this brings us to what we wanted to talk about with, just giving a season outlook. So we've gone over on our past shows the division previews, the who we would bet on for winning those specific divisions. But considering the season starts on Thursday, what better time to give you our full division winners and World Series winners, and I'd guess league winners as well, than today? Season starts, might as well take some time on the show to go over that. But before we do, I wanted to remind you guys that, as we pull this up here, Creative Island Design Center is serving New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida. They're a fully authorized Hunter Douglas dealer. Contact Jeff at 609-226-0391 for a free consultation. Also, All Campus is giving 20% off everything in their store, including hats and shirts to all their subscribers. Make sure to get in on that. You don't want to miss out. So, I'll toss it to you first, Toomey. What division do you want to start with? Who do you got winning it, and why?
I'll jump right into my team's division. AL East, Yankees got it. I don't really see. Yeah, Blue Jays are good. Rays have some guys. Red Sox ain't it, and Baltimore's a young team, but they're not gonna. But I got the Yankees. Maybe not dominant, but they'll have a 5-10 game lead on that division by the end of the year.
So if we're starting AL East, I'm going to be honest. I agree with you, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what you say. I think the two teams that's going to be a dogfight between are going to be the Yankees and the Blue Jays. I feel like those are the two best teams in the division. I love Tampa and how they always compete, but I feel like at some point losing every free agent and not signing anyone is going to bite them. I don't know if that's going to be necessarily this year, but I don't think they're in contention for that division. I think the Orioles could surprise. I think that's probably my third place finish. I think the Orioles contend for a wild card spot. And then I'm not a fan of Boston this year. I'm not a fan of them. I feel like their talent level, their prospects aren't as good as the rest of the division. So, division winner, I'm going with the Yankees as well. But I feel like the Blue Jays finish maybe 2-3 games behind.
That's fair.
You want to just work our way down to the AL Central?
Yeah, go for it.
Guardians. I don't, and I'm going to take the approach you took with the AL East. I don't think this one's close. The only team I could see remotely challenging the Guardians would be the Twins, and I think the Guardians are so much better than Minnesota. I truly do. I like some of the additions Minnesota made. I love how they brought Correa back, despite him almost being a Giant and almost being a Met. I like their pitching rotation, but I think the Guardians, with all the young prospects, having one of the best minor league systems in the entire sport and being as talented as they are already, I think they're going to dominate this division. I don't think it's close.
They are truly they're the youngest team. They were last year when they were in the playoffs for sure. And they are a team that is a year or two away from actually being a dominant force. 1, 2, 3 years away. But yeah, I'm riding with you on that for sure. Maybe the White Sox can pull some together, but I don't think so. I'm riding with you too as well with Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland's got my dark horse Cy Young candidate, Tristan McKenzie. I think he's going to have a really good year.
And now what? The West. I think the AL is, from what I'm seeing, it's a lot easier to pick than the NL for sure. And the easy answer here, Houston. No, I think Houston's. Then I'll give my take. You take yours. I think Houston's light years ahead of every other team in the AL for sure. They got 2 star pitchers. They lost McCullers for sure, but Javier and what's the other guy's name? I'm missing him. Christian Javier and screw it. They have one of the 2 best 1-2 punch in the league right there for sure. And they brought a guy in like Jose Abreu. Yes, we saw Altuve get hurt, but I think it's theirs to lose for sure.
Well, the sports books agree with you because the Astros are currently a minus favorite to win this division at 185. I am, and this is the first pick we are differentiating on. I'm going with the Seattle Mariners. I love this roster. I love how they compete. And I think that they are going to give a lot of teams issues and that they're going to build upon the success that they had last year. They're a dangerous team. They have one of the best players in the sport in Julio Rodriguez. A lot of people, I think, crazily enough, I have not seen anybody talk about him this entire offseason, which is just a shock to me.
It was weird.
Considering how good he is. But I think he powers his team to a division title. I think the Astros not necessarily falter because I still think they are a playoff team, and we will get to that a little bit later. But I think the Mariners steal this division. I think it's a dogfight between these two teams. I think that the A's and Rangers are just gimmies for both these teams. I think the Angels lose both Trout and Ohtani after this year. That's a hot take. but I'm sticking with it. You had two of the best players in the sport taste a playoff environment. If they don't win this year, they're both gone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're both gone, both of them. And unfortunately, like, and this is a conversation that goes into it, right? How close are the Angels to even competing, let alone even competing for a division? I don't think they're close.
No.
They don't have the pitching. They don't have the lineup. As good as Ohtani and Trout are, you're basically asking for Trout to hit 50 bombs and basically have the best season of his career to give the Angels a shot. And the funny part is he's done that almost every year. And the Angels still haven't had a shot. You're asking Ohtani to be superhuman again, which he's been every year. But you need the rest of that rotation and lineup to produce. I don't see it happening.
They're missing many key pieces. It's a shame it never worked out for him in Los Angeles. Hopefully Trout, if the time comes and he leaves, he finds a new team. But yeah, I think Ryan with it that the Mariners are going to be a force to be reckoned with. But to win the division, I have to disagree.
I guess we will find out then.
Yes, we will. It might have to.
I guess we're going to jump over to the NL now. And NL East, this has to be the toughest division in baseball. And no matter what team,
starting point, yes.
No matter what team you say, no matter what team you think is going to win right now, you could tell me two, maybe three. You could tell me the two other teams and give me reasons why they would win it, and I would probably agree with you. I would probably consider those points to be very valid. I'm going to have to go with the Mets, and it's not the homer pick. It's more so I feel like they have the best rotation in the division, or the second best behind Miami, but Miami doesn't have the lineup to compete. The Mets may not have the best lineup in the division. I think they have the second best. But when you have the second best rotation and the second best lineup, that's pretty damn good combination for a baseball team. I don't think Atlanta's rotation stacks up against the Mets lineup. Or I don't think the rotation stacks up against the Mets rotation, but I think they have a better lineup. I don't think the Phillies rotation stacks up against the Mets rotation, but I think their lineups are even.
You can make a case for any lineup out of those three teams for sure.
Exactly. Miami's going to be a thorn in everyone's side between Alcantara, Edward Cabrera probably being up at some point this year. They traded Pablo Lopez. Doesn't matter. They're probably going to get Sixto Sanchez back at some point. The Marlins literally just breed pitchers, and it's going to be I'm excited but not excited to see, okay, who's the random guy that's going to shut out the Mets this year? Because it happens every season because they breed Cy Youngs. It's ridiculous. But I'm going with the Mets. I think that they make an addition midseason that makes them even better. But I think they are in a very, very good spot between the lineup they have now, the prospects they can bring up, and the pitching they have to really make a big run, not just winning the division, but at the World Series in general.
I think you can make a real case for the Mets and the Braves. You can also with the Phillies as well, but I think the Braves and Mets are head over heels over them, even though the Phillies were just, hey, they went on a magical run, and they're still going to have a lot of magic in them since then.
The big thing with the Phillies, too, they're also missing Bryce Harper for half the year.
Yes. And that's where I'm going to come with my team to win the division. I'm also Ryan with you. I'm going with the Mets. Maybe they won't go as far as the Braves, or maybe they will, or the Braves or the Phillies, but I think they'll take the regular season championship for sure and win it.
That brings us to the NL Central, and I'll let you start this one off.
This one was tough too. I think it's between two teams. I truly do. It is absolutely 100% between two teams. The Pirates are not going to compete. The Cubs are not going to compete, even though they did make a lot of moves. I see them. They can have a surprisingly good year, but it's not going to be anything serious. Reds don't got either. I'm going to ride with the Cardinals. They're going to go back-to-back. even though the Brewers are there, Brewers got a lot of pitching. I think the Cardinals have a little edge on them.
As good as the Brewers pitching is, and let's face it, it's pretty damn good. The Cardinals might have the potential to be the best lineup in baseball. Look at all the guys they have. Arenado, Goldschmidt, Edman, Gorman. Let's just throw the number 4 prospect in all of baseball, Jordan Walker, into that lineup too. Guy who has literally been a world killer this spring. He's been just as good as Baty, been just as good as Volpe, just as good as all these guys. The dude, no one talks about. This dude's basically Aaron Judge's size. You're basically adding a dude at Aaron Judge's size to a lineup that already has Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Cardinals run away with this division. They'll figure out their pitching, but this lineup's going to absolutely rake.
No, absolutely. They have what it takes. And I thought they had a real good chance last year to really make a deep run, but it fell a little short. But I guess on to the NL West, huh?
Yep. I feel like we might be differentiating on this one. So I'm going to start.
With you saying that, I think we're around the same page, but go.
Rockies, no shot. I mean, they have the second highest or the second lowest odds because out of all the divisions, the Nationals and the A's are tied at the highest. When I say highest, I mean those two teams are plus 25,000 to win division. If you hit on that, first of all, God bless your soul for betting on those teams to win the division. And then second of all, you're just a crazy person if you do that. The Rockies are plus 15,000. Honestly, might take some time later today and just put $1 on those just in case the craziness happens. Diamondbacks love their roster, love Corbin Carroll, love Alec Thomas. They're not ready just yet. They need another year or two. The Giants, I don't think they have the star power to compete with these other two teams in the division. And that brings us to our last two teams. We have the Dodgers at minus 125 and the Padres at plus 120. I'm going with the underdog here. I'm going with the Padres. And here's why. We talk about teams that didn't really sign too many free agents, kind of let some guys walk. I think losing Trey Turner, losing Gavin Lux, losing Corey Seager, all for different reasons, whether free agency or injury, that's going to have a bigger impact on the Dodgers than I think a lot of people are willing to admit. On the flip side, Fernando Tatis is coming back. He looks good. He looks really good this spring. Add that to Machado, to Soto, who both of them are playing very well. Add that to a very good rotation. I think the Padres win this division by 3-4 games.
I was going with the Padres too. I really want to disagree with you, though. I really am trying to make a case for the Dodgers right now, but teams that have been so dominant the past couple of years, to go against them with this, it's
tough. It's very tough.
Wrong.
It's tough to go against the Dodgers, and it's probably wrong to go against the Dodgers. But just the information I'm seeing in the sense of the Dodgers, I don't know what their middle infield situation is. Versus the Padres loaded up this offseason.
Yeah.
They loaded up.
No, they truly have.
Yeah. Oh, how do I forget this? They added Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
So you have Bogaerts, Soto, Tatis, and Machado in the same lineup. That's ridiculous.
No, that truly is. And then you got guys like Cronenworth still, I believe, right? Guys like that who can still. Do they still have?
They still have Gresham.
Will Myers.
No, they don't have Will Myers.
Okay, there we go. I was about to say. I was like, then. But no, you know what? I want to disagree with you, but I can't. I'm going with the Padres as well. I truly am. Great pitching rotation. Make a case for the best lineup. Soto's arguably one of the greatest hitters we've ever seen in his small little timetable of a career. Tatis has done his thing. Machado made a case for MVP. Bogaerts is a hell of a hitter. Yeah, it'd be wrong to go against them. 100%.
So, I am currently making a parlay of the division winners that we picked, or that I picked on this show. So a $10 parlay would win you over $2,000 if you hit on this. So if I put a good $2 on it, I could win basically $450. So we're probably going to do that at the end of the show. But now it is time to talk about our league winners. So Toomey, why don't you start us off? Where are you leaning? What are you thinking?
We'll go back to the AL. And I hate to say it. I really do, but it's hard to go back to back. It truly is. Really is. Right now I'm going with Houston. They've shown me no reason why they haven't. I don't think the loss of Verlander is that big for them. I truly don't.
I'm going to have to do this because, well, I'm not going to have to do this. I'm going to choose to do this. This may be sacrilegious for me to say as a Mets fan. I think the Yankees win the AL.
Boy, do I wish.
I think that it's them in Houston again. I think Houston makes the playoffs and makes a run. They don't necessarily win the division, but I think they are still firmly entrenched in that playoff conversation where you have the Mariners and Astros competing and you have both those teams looking to be huge contenders. I just think this is the Yankees' year, finally. I think adding a guy like Volpe, I think Volpe wins Rookie of the Year. And I think he is a huge, huge, huge asset for them. So I'm going to have to go with the Yankees.
How good it would feel for the Yankees to finally beat the Astros in the playoffs.
It's got to happen at some point, right?
It truly does.
They lose to them every season. They have to get over that hump at some point. And I think adding some young talent finally to that roster, kind of taking a page out of Houston's playbook, that might do the trick.
You're making sense for sure. You truly are. I'll give you that.
All right. Time for the NL. And I'm going to have to let you start this one because I just need to hear where you fall with this.
I'm going with a non-division winner. I'm going with the Atlanta Braves to win the NL.
What?
I think.
What makes you say that?
I think that lineup is going to get real hot at the end of the year, and there's a lot of guys there. And they're also a team, you like to say too. There are guys that they can put anyone in any position. It could be their first time on a baseball field. They're going to have success. I don't know what it is with Atlanta, but they just know how to find talent. And the pitching duo they got right there is solid. The bullpen's going to be good. It'll be good. It will be. And that lineup, you got guys out of the woodwork like Michael Harris who are bona fide superstars already.
Very fair point. They currently have the best odds to win the National League at this point at plus 380. So that brings me to my NL division, or not NL division winner, my NL League winner. I'm stuck between two teams.
All right.
And I'm gonna bring up both of them. And I want to hear your opinion before I make my final decision.
All right.
I'm stuck between the Mets and the Cardinals.
Okay.
And I feel like, tweet came out that OBJ is talking to Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas today.
Okay.
Brings the NFL GMs and coaches are all in one spot right now. Makes sense that Beckham is talking to them. Yeah. So the Mets, I've spoke about it. I think they have a very high ceiling. I think adding Verlander is huge. I think Kodai Senga is going to be huge for them as well. I believe in their lineup. I really do. And I feel like they're pitching, the combination of both, even with the loss of Edwin Diaz, which is a huge, huge blow. I think they have enough. I think they have enough to make it. The Cardinals, I feel like if they get even a little bit more than expected out of their pitching, I think they can make a huge run. Obviously, the third team in that case is probably the Padres. But I think I'm going to go with my gut and go with the Mets. And I'm going to say we finally get
the Subway Series.
World Series. And, it plays a great part because it's a city that never sleeps show. It's our New York show. And I truly think it can happen. I think the Mets have the talent to beat the Dodgers, the Braves, the Padres, the Phillies, the Cardinals. But let's face it, the NL is way more of a gauntlet than the AL is. It truly is. The NL, I mean, you rattle off these teams, the Braves, Dodgers, Padres, Mets, Phillies, Cardinals. All those teams could win a World Series. All those teams could win the pennant. It's just a matter of who do you feel the most confident about.
No, I'm looking at my thing right now, isn't it? 1999. See that comment? Who won that game? Who won that series?
Yes. Mets Yankees, 1999.
Doesn't count. I wasn't born.
I don't know. I wasn't born yet, so I don't. You're gonna have to remind me who won that. It doesn't really ring a bell up here.
Forget?
What?
How about 1986? That's a date.
Yes.
There it is, right?
Good point. Yeah, 100%. So that brings us to the World Series, and well, who do you have winning your World Series?
Well, mine right now I have Houston versus Atlanta, and I got Atlanta pulling through. I think the Braves win their second in the past couple of years, and has their own little dynasty going on down there.
I got the Mets and Yankees, and I got the Mets. Honestly, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip between those two teams. I got the Mets winning, but I think it could go either way. So before we wrap up our MLB conversation, let's talk some player awards.
I like it.
NL MVP. Who do we got? Putting you on the spot, man.
Yeah, you did. No time to think. NL MVP, if I had to pick a random name right now, I think he walks so much, Juan Soto. He really does. But I'm going to go with Juan Soto. Juan Soto, I think, finally got acclimated to San Diego. They're going to have to pitch to him. The lineup's too stacked to go away from him. He's got such a good eye. I think he's going to have major success this season. I'm going with Juan Soto.
He's currently the odds-on favorite at plus 550 to win that.
I didn't even know that. See, now I'm just picking favorites. I don't like it.
I have two selections, and I'm going to put money on both of them, full transparency. And these are my two favorites: Trey Turner, which would make me puke because he is a Philly, and Francisco Lindor, which would make me very happy because he's a Met. I lean this way because I feel like Lindor's defensive value plus the type of offensive production I think he's going to have immediately catapults him to the top of the rankings. And if Trey Turner hits the way that he hit in the World Baseball Classic, he's going to power the Phillies until they get Bryce Harper back. And that makes them a very scary opponent.
It really does. And he's a guy, too, that we saw him hit the long ball a lot in the World Baseball Classic before we get to that comment. He's a guy that just hits. He's a contact hitter. He gets on base. And if he can bring a power like that as well, very scary.
All right. AL MVP. I don't think there's anyone else I can go with. I don't care. I don't care that he's the favorite. It's Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
It's Shohei.
It's you could have easily made a case for him to win last year, even after the season Judge had. And when you talk about full value point two, I still will win with Judge, but you can easily say Shohei Ohtani could have won last year, and there's no reason why he can't, because there's no way Judge matches what he did last year, or a guy puts up that value. Ohtani's the LeBron James of MLB. He truly is. He can win it every single year. The league's just going to have to find ways to not give it to him.
Yep. So you want to just do Cy Youngs and Rookie of the Year and call it a day with
Go
the
for it.
MLB
Yep.
stuff?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to rattle off my picks real fast. NL Cy Young, taking a look at some of the odds, values, different things like that. I think that most bang for your buck, going to probably go with I'm going to go with Corbin Burns. I think that he's going to have another dominant year. We got a comment in the chat from David, by the way. Mets Yankees World Series 99 and 2000. Braves have no business beating the Mets in 99. Mets should beat the Braves. Mets Yankees World Series 1999 and 2000. That's just opening up wounds before I was even born, which sucks. But I'm going with Corbin Burns in the NL. In the AL, I am going to go with. By the way, the other guy was Framber Valdez.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going with Tristan McKenzie as my dark horse. I'm riding with him. And then Rookie of the Year, like I said, Anthony Volpe. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Love Gunnar Henderson. Love Casas. Love Yoshida. I think Volpe has the best year out of all of them. And then NL Rookie of the Year, I don't care that he's the favorite. Corbin Carroll is winning this award. It's going to be between him and Jordan Walker, and I hope Brett Baty, but we shall see.
Nice. Very good. NL Cy Young, I'm riding with. I'm not even looking at the odds right now. I'm just going right off the dome. Who's going to have a good year? Let's give it to Max Scherzer. Give me some Max Scherzer. He's gonna have he's been doing it for years now. Hopefully stays healthy. Older guy, but he should be good. He's gonna have a dominant season for the Mets. Carry them all the way. Not carry them because he doesn't need that much help because they have such a good team. But I'm going with Max Scherzer. And in the AL, I have my reasonings for this. There's only one way this guy wins, and I think if he does this, he wins it. I said it last year. I'm going to ride with him. Garrett Cole this season.
All right.
He can stop giving up home runs like he did on a crazy number last year. He would have won it last year. 100%, I don't doubt that. The only runs he ever gave up were home runs. If he can bring that number down, I think he's got it in the bag. But last year, he did give up the most home runs in the league, which is crazy. But, like I said, if that number's down this year, he will win Cy Young. Now for Rookie of the Year, have to ride with the guy, Anthony Volpe. Got to give it to him. Guy's going to be a beast. I truly think he's going to add so much value to the Yankees. So I'm giving it to him. Wasn't even on the odds books a couple of weeks ago. No idea who's going to make the team. And for NL Rookie of the Year, I'm actually going Met for both of these. I'm going Senga.
Oh, Senga is considered a rookie. That is true.
Yes. I think Senga is – that's why I'm so high on the Mets in the division, just because they have a big three right there. I think Senga is nasty, and he's going to cause a lot of issues, and he's got my vote.
Well, there you have it, folks. There are our – wow, that's a tongue twister. There are our MLB predictions for this year. So, Thursday, before the games get started, stay tuned to our Twitter, where we're going to post our season predictions. We're going to post everything we talked about on the show, and you guys can follow along with us, follow along with what we get right, what we get wrong throughout the year, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast, and I'm just looking forward to it, man. Baseball's back. Like I joked about, I'm finally excited about baseball again. Thanks, FDU. No, I'm kidding. No, but in all seriousness, I'm very excited about the baseball year. I'm very excited about what it's going to be. Lots of young prospects getting elevated. Love to see the new talent in the game. It's going to be sick. I'm pumped for it. And Transition Kings alert. You want to know what I'm also pumped for, Toomey?
What's that?
To see the Rangers beat the Devils this Thursday.
Oh, we're going into that right now.
Oh, we are going into that right now.
Okay.
Damn right.
I can flip my note card over because I can talk about my concern, I guess.
Okay, so the New York Rangers are, as I would like to say, El Fuego. They're currently 8-1-1 in their past 10. They're on a 2-game win streak. And they are only 4 points behind the New Jersey Devils for second place. What a turn of events from the last time we talked hockey, by the way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So we're going to start with the team on the downswing, the Devils. What's going on? What can they do to fix it? And are you worried as we head towards the playoffs?
I hate to say it, but I truly am. The matter of fact, this is not the same team that we saw months ago. Not even close. I have my issues, but last 10, they're 4-4-2. Yes, they're playing good teams. They had a 3-game stretch. 3 of the 4 games were against the Lightning. Played the Islanders, but this team is just not – they're not moving like they used to. When it comes to Timo Meier, he's scored a couple goals, hasn't done much. He can't break the blue line by himself. I've noticed it. Anyone can check me on these. I've watched every game. I've had my face glued to the TV. And the real issue I think it is it used to not be an issue. They're giving up a lot of goals, especially to a team like the Islanders last night who aren't known for scoring. They're known for their defense. And the Islanders came out last night, played defense and offense, and the Devils had no answer. Devils could not break past the blue line. They could not set up any offense, and I think that's the true issue. They cannot set up an offense. And they're giving up too many breakaways, odd number rushes, and you're leaving their goalie, Vitek, who started the year super hot. Couldn't beat the guy. He's getting lit up. I don't know where they go from this. Lindy Ruff has to figure something out, but I said they need to figure this out with 10 games left of the season, and they are nowhere near figuring that right now.
So I know we looked at this a little bit before, but the Devils' remaining schedule. They got the Rangers, obviously on Thursday, which we'll talk about a little bit more.
Can't
They
wait.
then have the Blackhawks, the Jets, the Penguins, the Blue Jackets, the Bruins, the Sabres, and the Capitals. At that point, right, you would hope that they're able to rectify some of the issues that they've been having and really head into the playoffs strong. But this can go 2 ways. The first way is, they find their mojo again, and heading into, at this point, their likely first-round series with the Rangers, they're able to compete and counteract the very high-level goal scoring that the Rangers have shown. On the other hand, the Devils, if they don't rectify their issues, they continue to play 500 or below hockey, they're heading into, once again, a series most likely with a Rangers team that is essentially like an avalanche of scoring between Kane, who has fully adjusted to the Rangers, between Tarasenko, Trocheck, Kreider, Panarin, Zibanejad. Like, the fact that they have that many goal scorers and that the Devils have struggled to defend and keep the puck out of the net, it's looking like a bad matchup for them in that first round. It's looking like a matchup that doesn't fit their strengths, and it could lead to an early exit and a disappointing finish to a season where they looked very, very strong. Obviously, there's still a little bit of time left.
Yes.
But the way things are going right now, if they're not able to rectify that, it could be a quick exit.
I was going to say that's why this is not full self-destruct mode. Because of the remaining schedule, they're playing against teams that they have an opportunity to figure something out. I heard you say the Blackhawks. Easy team to figure it out. Blue Jackets, easy team to figure out. And then they get thrown some tests. Jets test. Sabres test. They just lost to Sabres. Sabres lit the lamp on them all night. Bruins, real test. You know what? Lose 2 of those. Lose the Rangers, lose the Bruins, win out. All right. I'll be fine going to the playoffs. Come out Thursday against the Rangers. Prove this wrong because it is not looking good. As I'm looking at every game that they've lost, they've given up more than 4 goals besides one game, or 4 or more goals besides one game against the Wild, who pretty much one of the hottest teams in hockey right now. So I'll give them that. They got to lower the goal scoring, though. Their goals against is not looking good at all right now.
Yeah, and, the Rangers' schedule coming up. They got Columbus tonight at 7. They then have the Devils, the Sabres, Capitals, Lightning, Blues, Blue Jackets, again, the Sabres again, and then the Maple Leafs. That it's not a cakewalk schedule. It's not a terrible schedule, but it's enough challenges filled with potential gimme games where the Rangers are going to have to be on their A game. I'm just very excited for Thursday because this is a preview of the potential playoff matchup. And I think it'll give us a very good sense of how these teams could actually stack up.
Yeah.
Who has the upper hand and, how these teams direction-wise could finish by the end of the year heading into the playoffs. We could see both teams start to go like this. We could see one going up and one going down. It's going to be very interesting. And I know we're both very excited because I'm very excited to see in person how this Rangers offense looks, how they're able to move the puck and get shots on net against, let's face it, even though they're struggling, a very good Devils team. I'm interested to see how the Devils are able to counteract the barrage of offensive weapons that the Rangers have amassed. I'm interested to see if they can exploit some of the potential defensive issues that the Rangers have had. So it's going to be very intriguing. Obviously, as we've talked about last week, we will be at this game. We'll be covering it. We'll be giving you some updates on social media, posting some different things there. We're very excited. We're very excited about it, and it's going to be a blast.
Yes, it is. I guess the only best case scenario for the Devils real fast is they're one of the best road teams in the league. So pretend if the Rangers do pass them, it gives them more road games. I'm not hoping for them to be on the road for the most of this, but it's there.
And I mean, looking at the other New York team, Islanders are almost firmly entrenched in that wild card spot.
Yeah, they truly, especially with that win last night.
Yeah, and they're a physical playoff built team where they could give some teams issues if they run into them. Like the Islanders are a very physical, attacking type team where they might, stymie a really good offensive team by being overly physical and by throwing guys off their spots. I'm very interested to see how the Islanders do depending on who they draw in that matchup.
The Islanders, if I'm in the wild card right now, I don't want that last spot because there's no way I want to touch the Bruins at all. So stay as far away from that as possible. And the Islanders, they're a defensive team. And you know what? Last night they showed that offense can really perform too. This is an offense too that Bo Horvat, unless he scored last night, which I do not believe he has not scored in his last 12 games. That means
that's not going to stay that way.
They're having this success without his performances too, which that's scary. If the team's clicking like that, they could be a real mishap for the Hurricanes for sure.
Canes Islanders would be a really good series.
It will.
Yeah.
A Hurricanes team? Yeah, no.
I mean, looking at the rest of the NHL, you obviously have the Bruins clinched the division already, 119 points. We get it. They're amazing. Maple Leafs have clinched the playoffs, so have the Hurricanes, Devils, and Rangers. Lightning aren't there just yet. They're pretty close. East is ridiculous. The West, the Wild have a 1-point lead over the Avalanche, who have a 2-point lead over the Stars. Avalanche, wow, the best team in hockey last year. Suddenly figured out how to play again. I'm so surprised. They're what was it? A few weeks ago we were saying, oh, they're like the 7th seed. Oh no, they're back. It's not. I'm not. It was never a true concern, but the West is very tight. The West is very tight. And then in the Pacific, you have the Golden Knights, who are always good, the Kings, who have bounced back after a few down years, and the Edmonton Oilers, aka Connor McDavid's carrying this team to the freaking playoffs again. What does he have? Like 60 goals?
He did get his 60th. Yeah, he did the other night.
I want to see him win a title. Not this year because I want the Rangers to win, but like
Some
still.
point.
I mean, I like between him, Austin Matthews, McKinnon, the West is just loaded with talent, but the teams aren't exactly loaded. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. I'm pumped for the hockey playoffs because haven't really got into this on the show, but I will stick my flag in the sand. The NHL playoffs are the best playoffs by far because there's nothing like anxiously watching and hanging on every moment of every game. It is the most exciting and nerve-wracking experience you can have in any sport. Because football, not so much. Yeah, it's one game, but in hockey, there's a shot that someone can score on almost every play. I don't know how to explain it, but it's my favorite playoff environment. I mean, I was lucky enough to go to a Rangers playoff game last year. I hope I'm able to do the same this year. Toomey, when I tell you that environment was probably the best sports game environment I've ever been to, it truly was. It felt like the equivalent of what a European soccer game would feel like, with how loud the stadium was, the goal chants, the celebrate. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely incredible.
I'm right there with you on NHL hockey playoffs being top dogs for the playoff, and I can't wait. I haven't seen the Devils in the playoffs in 5 years, and I was at their last playoff win.
Really?
Last playoff game win where they lost series 5 games to Tampa or however they run it 3-4 or whatever. Yes, I was at their only win.
There we go. You're good luck.
Made the Twitter. It's awesome. Good stuff.
So, as we say with all the other sports, stay locked and loaded with us. We're going to be covering all the NHL news as we approach the playoffs. We will be going over extensively the playoff matchups once they are set. Obviously, still some things to be figured out, but we love hockey here. We love all sports, but we love hockey here. So stick with us. And now it's time to move on to basketball. And we're gonna switch it up a little bit. I want to talk some Western Conference first.
Okay.
Lakers.
Yeah.
How are we feeling?
I'm at where I was last week. What I say? I remember my take was they're going to make the plan, but make the playoffs.
Yes.
Sticking with that. They're at the 9, I believe, right now. Let me check for sure. Yep, they're at the 9.
They're tied with Dallas 9-10.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right there. But they don't really have. They don't click. They win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Like I said. But the real team, I'm rooting for them. Hopefully, this could be the Nuggets' year to do it. Finally, pull through and get that. They've been winning the Western Conference year after year for a while now and been dominant at it. Still, Jaws back. A lot of dangerous teams in the West. No one can really find a firm grip besides those 2 teams at the top. But I'm riding with Nuggets, Lakers. They'll win. They'll make the playoffs and then just get destroyed by the Grizzlies or the Nuggets for sure.
Yeah, Denver's a scary team, man. But I'm excited, and this is not my underdog team because they're a top 3 team in the West. LA Kings or Sacramento Kings. They're both playoff. They're both playoff teams. They're both in California. Sacramento Kings playoff basketball. Let's go! Light the beam, man. They're my favorite Western Conference team because they're just like the Knicks. They haven't been this perennial playoff contender, and if they can find success and they can win a series or 2. Sacramento, I feel like, is one of those teams where, people don't show up when they're bad, but when they're good, the entire city rallies around. I mean, I know this because the Lakers series the one year when the refs just completely screwed the Kings. That's all anyone talks about. Like, the Kings fans are still pissed about that. And it was what, 15 plus years ago?
Yeah.
Crazy. But that brings us to the East. Actually, one more point. Oklahoma City Thunder. Holy crap. They're tied for the 7th seed. They're almost a playoff team. Wow. I didn't expect this. This is without Chet.
And have you seen with Chet now?
What do you mean?
He might be coming back.
Really? I did not see that.
You have not seen this? Oh my God, he's got a full beard. He might be coming back to play. They listed him as like probable or something for the playoffs. If they make it, yeah. Don't know how that's gonna work, but
that throws a wrench into the entire West. Oh yeah, we're just adding the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Have fun. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting to see if
let me look at this.
Go check that out real fast.
I did not see this. Hold on.
And while you're doing that, I mean the Lakers. Yeah. It's in. I don't even know what to say.
Thunder news: Chet Holmgren seen dunking after practice on Tuesday. Holy crap, baskets. Yeah, he posted free 7 on Instagram.
Is he number 7? I'm guessing.
Maybe, I don't know, but like, man, with how fun Shea's been, with how fun the entire what do you call it, Thunder team has been with Jalen Williams. I can't believe they have 2 guys with the same name. You add Chet Holmgren to that, man. That's insane. That's very exciting. That's my dark horse if they get him back for the West, because you have a dominant stretch 5 like that. Jokic, I mean, like, look, love Jokic. Would he be able to get out to defend that? Would the Grizzlies be able to counteract? Actually, Jaren Jackson probably would be able to. I would like the Grizzlies' chances better because Thunder probably are matching up with the Nuggets earlier if they stay at the 7-8 range, right? Like that's what I'm looking at, and I'm very excited for the NBA playoffs too, especially if they get them back. But now I think it's time to transition to the East. Gonna be a fight to the finish for this 5, 6, 7 range, where the Knicks are 4 games out behind the Cavs for the 4 seed. They are 2 games up on both Brooklyn and Miami. And looking at their recent games, they lost to the Heat yesterday. They play the Magic tonight. They lost to the Timberwolves. And the rest of their schedule, hold on. Had to refresh the calendar. That wasn't correct. My bad. They lost to the Magic on last Thursday.
All right.
They beat the Rockets yesterday. And now the rest of their schedule. They got the Heat, the Cavs, the Wizards, the Pacers, the Pelicans, and the Pacers to finish up the year. I'll be real. I don't think they finish any lower than 7. I don't think they finish any higher than 5. They're right in that range. I don't think they jump the Cavs, barring a 7-game win, 5, 6, 7-game win streak. I don't think they jump them. I really don't. But to that point, I'm still very excited about what this Knicks team can do in the playoffs. Emmanuel Quickly has been amazing, but they need Jalen Brunson back. I need Randall to not pick it up, but continue playing like the guy he's been the majority of this year. Would love RJ Barrett to be consistent at all. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the sweatshirt of the team that I'm rocking. I'm excited about their playoff hopes. I still think they do win a series, but we shall see. What are your thoughts on the Knicks?
I'm just shocked that the Nets are still there after all that news of when it happened all that time ago. I was for certain they would have just crept their way down, but they've really proved that they stayed locked in that 5-6 spot for sure. I'm with you. I don't think the Knicks are moving out of that range. 6 games left, right? 6?
Let me correct this. They are actually the Knicks are, I think, 3.5 up on Brooklyn and Miami. So
Yeah.
wanted to correct that a little bit.
6 games left.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll the Knicks just got to win 1. 3 basically stay in that spot. So they'll be good. We're pretty much locked in. It's either they're going to play the Sixers or the Cavs. Which team would you rather face up against?
Depends if Harden's back.
Harden's back, let's say.
Harden's back?
Yeah.
Probably the Sixers, though.
Okay.
Because I think the Knicks can exploit the bad guard defense that the Sixers have, and you have to obviously live with what Embiid does. Versus, I'm very scared about Cleveland shooting because the Knicks have, as we've talked about on this show, been very susceptible to the three-pointer and getting hurt by the three-pointer. So I'd rather play Philly. That doesn't necessarily mean I think they're going to beat Philly.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be a much better series in that case.
I mean, I'm riding with I think if I'm the Knicks, I'd rather face Sixers as well. I see Harden as a guy that everyone knows he's not going to be there next year. I don't think he hasn't had the greatest time ever in Philly. So what's he really playing for? I don't know. This guy, I don't know. I don't think they have a chance to win the whole thing either. So either way, they're going to have a tough matchup and they're going to have to pull everything together for sure to beat. And they can't lose to Donovan Mitchell. Cannot lose to him. He was supposed to be a Knick.
Yeah, that's kind of another reason I don't want to play Cleveland. Oh, good Lord. The discourse would be just toxic. Oh, the Knicks lost to Mitchell. You trade for Mitchell. You don't. It's like I don't need to hear it. If they lose to the Cavs, Mitchell will be a huge reason, but he won't be the only reason.
Now with the play-ins, to get into that real fast, is it 3 games, 3-game series, or is it 1?
The play-in?
The play-in games.
I'm pretty sure the way it works, and don't quote me on this because I'm not 100% sure. I think it's just the first. I think it's 7-8 plays, and then the loser of that plays the winner of, the loser of that plays the winner of 9-10.
Okay. Yes, that sounds about right.
Because the way I remember it, I think the winner of that first game plays the 2 seed.
Yep.
And then the winner of the 9-10, the 9-10 winner plays the loser of 7-8 to play the number 1 seed.
That sounds correct. So that, for what I'm seeing, does that look like it stays the same? Heat Hawks 7-8.
Let me pull up the standings real
give
fast.
The Raptors or Bulls a chance right now.
I think the Bulls could give Atlanta or Miami some issues. I'm not too certain about Toronto. I think Atlanta versus Milwaukee would be a very interesting matchup. I think Milwaukee would have some issues defending the 3 ball. But I don't think they would necessarily lose that series. I think it would go further than what people would expect. I don't think Miami has a shot in against Milwaukee or Boston. Same goes for Raptors and Bulls. But, I think they could give them a little scare. I think they could give them a little bit of a heat check in a sense. No pun intended regarding Miami. But I think they could maybe be like, maybe this isn't going to be a cakewalk. We actually got to take this round seriously.
Yeah, no, so it's going to make out. Hopefully I'm rooting for the Knicks. I'll give them my blessings for sure. Hopefully they can pull through. And the Nets, they're going to give whatever team they play trouble as well. I don't doubt that. They've proved that they can work as a unit for sure and hold their ground.
Yeah, and like I said it on the show. I love Brooklyn remind me of the old Brooklyn team before KD and Kyrie got there. They're just the way they have a bunch of guys that can score, no superstar, and they just get the job done. It's very, very cool to see, and I'm excited to see how they can build off their progress.
It's playoff time. Playoffs are coming.
On that note, we have 6 minutes left in the show. What are you looking forward to this week?
Looking forward to Thursday. That Devils-Rangers game is going to be big. And also, MLB starts. Can't wait to see that. There's probably going to be a number of games by the time we get back to our next show. So we'll have a firm grasp of how both our teams look, Mets, Yankees. 2 weeks away is the Masters. That'll be fun. We'll talk about that next show, where I'll give my briefing on that real fast. But no, the end of these NHL playoffs is what I'm really focusing on. How they format it, what teams make what spots, and and then we'll be back Tuesday with a lot more to talk about.
So for me, I'm going to start off the way I think I started off last week. Rodgers, maybe there's more movement. Maybe there's more stories leaked. I'm paying attention to that, and I'm paying attention to Lamar Jackson. What teams are linked to him? What teams are rumored? What are the leaked contract demands? Does he want fully guaranteed money? All of this, very important, and I think very crucial to how the rest of the NFL, specifically the draft, is going to play out. In baseball, how do the Mets fare right off the bat against Miami? Can they overcome Alcantara and the rest of that Miami rotation in a 4-game series? For the Yankees, can Volpe get off to a hot start? I'm looking to see if he does that. NBA, I want to see the Knicks go into the playoffs on a bit of a hot streak. They've been teetering. They've been on a bit of a downswing. I want to see them pick it back up. I want to see them get back to their winning ways. I want Jalen Brunson to get back on the court. And finally, I want to see the Rangers beat the Devils, which they're going to. So I'm not concerned. But in all honesty, I just want to see the Rangers continue their goal scoring, their hot streak into the playoffs, and really build upon that momentum to try and go win a cup. So that's it. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you guys for joining us on another great episode. Make sure to check back in next week, next Tuesday, same time, 3 to 5 p.m. We love doing this. Thank you for everyone who joined us. Thank you to everyone who left comments. Thank you guys for interacting with the show. We may not always get to everything, but we appreciate it a lot. We appreciate all the interaction, all the people who watch. Whether it's 0 viewers, 5 viewers, 10 viewers, we appreciate everyone. And it really means the world to me. I know it means the world to Toomey as well. So we will be back next week. I'm sure there will be plenty to talk about. We'll be covering the Rangers-Devils game we were at, NFL news, the start of baseball, and the NBA, NHL coming down the stretch. So for myself and Ryan Toomey, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. We'll catch you next time.